You might be wondering, how do I get my first job out of college even if I don't have a lot of experience, or maybe even any at all? Valid question. I mean, how annoying is it to scroll through job listings and every single one has years of experience that it recommends? I'm like, but here's something that took me a while to realize. You can still land the job even if it asks for 3+ years of experience. 5+ years of experience. I've even gotten a job offer from a role that required at least 7 years of experience. So now you might be thinking, well, that's not going to work now. The 2025 market is so saturated, so there's probably so many more people with way more experience applying to the same roles that I am. So obviously they're going to go with a more experienced person. Wrong. I'm going to share with you a few game-changing pieces of insight that absolutely changed the way I saw the application cycle and helped me to land multiple 6-figure job offers right out of college. The first thing I want to say is please do not disqualify yourself from a role because it lists XYZ number of years of experience or you don't meet every single qualification that they list. Yes, don't apply for senior roles, but I would say anything 7 years and less, try it. You're not going to land every single job, but I have seen in many instances from myself and from people that I know that you can get an interview for a role that asks for 5+, 7+ years of experience. It's possible. And the reason for that is because they aim high when they describe what their ideal candidate looks like, right? It's an ideal candidate. So they're going to say they want somebody who has this experience, who knows this system and processing and has these number of years of experience, and most people are not going to fit into all of those boxes. So the key here is to just have enough relevant experiences and communicate that in an effective way, even if you haven't worked in the job field at all, if you've had relevant internships, class projects, even just interests and things that you've done on your own that show a work ethic that's going to be valuable for that role. All of those things will apply and can show that you are the right personality, the right fit. Maybe you're a quick learner. So if you have all of these good assets and you have evidence that you learn quick and fast and will catch on, then you can be the best candidate. You can be the person who gets hired even over people who have way more experience than you. Because all of these traits, these personalities, they're not teachable. So the number one thing that somebody's going to look for when they're hiring you is that you have these unteachable values, because they can teach you the rest. If you get rejected, fine, that happens. You're not going to get every single role, and some people just do want somebody who's just been in it for years. But I'm telling you that more often than you think, that's not going to be the case. So please don't disqualify yourself before you even try. So once you face the first challenge, which is just deciding to apply in the first place, the next challenge that you're going to face, right, is just getting your resume noticed and your cover letter and not being just thrown into the trash pile without anybody even looking at it. Sometimes they use scanning systems. Sometimes they look at it personally, hopefully looking at it personally, but either way, it's so hard to get past this stage and to actually land an interview. My number one tip for this is to get on LinkedIn. Look for somebody who works in that company, either in the role that you're looking for or in a similar position. And if it's just a small company, honestly, anybody there at all, and message them. I know that you have to have a paid version to send a direct message, otherwise the amount of messages you have is limited. So if you already used all of your free messages for direct mail, what you want to do is you press the connect button and then press add a note. So that way you can customize your note and make it brief, because you only have a few characters in there, or not a few, but not that many. And say something like, hi, I'm really interested in XYZ company and I would love to learn about your story of success. Is it a crazy idea to hop on a 10 to 15 minute chat? ? You have to send out a few of these, more than a few actually, a dozen or more, however many you can send, because not everyone's going to answer. But if you send out enough, you will get an answer. Send out, let's say, start with 15. You can send 15 messages. It's just copy and pasting the same thing and send it to different companies, different roles you're interested in. And once you get a reply and schedule a call, this is huge, because you can hop on that call, you can chat with the person, get to know about their experiences, the company, see if this is actually something that you're interested in. And if it is, then you can tell them, wow, this sounds great. I'm really interested in maybe one day working at the company. Do you have any advice for me? And you're not necessarily asking them, hey, help me get this job, help me to land an interview. But more often than not, the person is going to be invested in the conversation. They're going to like that you show initiative, and people, they want to help you. They want to help others. So most likely they're going to offer to help you, either by telling their manager about the call or by forwarding your resume or flagging it so that it gets noticed. This has happened to me every single time that I've hopped on a just get to know you call. I'm telling you, every single time in one way or another, without me even asking, they have offered to help me along the process. And sometimes that might even just be offering to take a look at other jobs for entry-level positions. If they don't have an opening in their company, they can say, well, I'll send you some companies that I started with or was looking at when I was first entering the job market, and then you can have more leads from there, or they'll try to connect you with somebody else. I've had all these things happen, and it's just crazy how helpful this can be, because once again, you're just a number in those pile of resumes. So if you can get somebody within the company vouching for you, or can get them to connect you with somebody else, it's going to be huge, and it's going to help you stand out and actually have your resume seen and not just thrown into the trash bin. This is especially useful when you don't have a ton of experience and you don't have those, those keywords that the resume scanners are looking for, like the systems and the processes that you've learned. Maybe you don't have experiences with those things, but if you can get that interpersonal connection, you will have a leg up and you'll be more likely to land an interview. Perfect. Now you've overcome the resume roadblock and you've landed an interview. So this is huge, because once somebody offers you an interview, it means that they are interested in hiring you. They like your background, your personality, whatever you've shown to them thus far, and they want to talk to you and get to know more. So this is a huge step. But now you still are facing the question, right? How am I going to differentiate myself from other candidates who have more experience or work history in this industry? The key here is to effectively communicate your story. I alluded to this earlier, but if you don't have exactly the direct experience that somebody else maybe does in the interview process, maybe you're looking for a marketing role and you've never worked at an agency, you're a marketing major, maybe you're not, but you decided at the end of your college career that this is the road that you want to take. So what you need to do to show that you still are the best person for the role is to take a look at other experiences that you have, maybe in your college career and past internships, in class projects, things like that, and then describe or find how those experiences tie to the traits and to the work ethic and to the similar type of experiences that you are going to need for that role. For example, maybe you've never had any experiences in marketing, but recently you discovered that's what you want to do, but you were a finance major. So you had a class project where you had to dive deep into a company's finances and understand their problems and then come up with solutions and present to the class why your solution was the best. While this doesn't have any direct marketing experience, it is a sense of marketing when you have to present that solution, show why it's the best, and just get it in front of the right audience and tailor your message to that audience. So you can use different experiences and just focus on how it's relevant to the role that you are applying for. And by showing that, it's going to show that you are an analytical thinker and that you do have the traits that it takes to be successful in this role. And you can do that for clubs, for internships, for other past experiences that give insight into who you are as a person and how you are going to be successful in the role. And the same will apply into just describing your characteristics, your work ethic, how well you do in uncomfortable situations and stressful situations, and really highlight who you are as a person, because like I mentioned before, these things are unteachable. So they could have somebody with all the experience and they seem perfect, but they just don't have the right characteristics. They seem maybe like they're not the hardest working person, or they get the feeling that this person maybe isn't very self-motivated or creative or something like that. But if you show those characteristics, that is going to give you a huge leg up, even if you don't have the same resume as the other person. So focus on those things and see where your experiences connect to the role you're applying to. And trust me, if you already have the interview, that means that they're already interested. So now the key is to communicate your experiences effectively. Tell a good story. Interrupting for a second here because I want to let you all know that for those of you who want to dive even deeper into how to tell a concise and compelling interview story, You can check out my guide in the description below that breaks down exactly what makes up a good interview story to answer all of those tough behavioral questions. You will see a breakdown of what components make up a good response and also an example of a good and bad interview story so that you can understand the framework to absolutely kill your interview. So be sure to check that out in the description below. And the next thing that I want to mention is that in an interview, you also want to just let your personality shine. Because at the end of the day, the interviewer is going to want to hire somebody who they just genuinely genuinely enjoy being around. So you want to show that you're not just this robot or dry, dull person. Let your personality shine. Be personable. Ask some questions at the beginning of the interview to try to build a relationship before just jumping into the straight business of it all. And I go into even more detail about how to show your personality and how to be personable in an interview setting in the video that's coming up at the end here. So if you're curious about that, watch this video next.